As long as you can discern who the person really is. So I don't want to give you a time frame. Now, if you go a month, that's way too soon. But if you go 2 years, that's way too long, because your job is to discern the person. So if you're trying to discern, ask questions, talk to other people who knew them in different seasons of their lives to get to know who they are, then look not at what they say, but what they don't say, and then try to discern what's really at the heart of the person, what's driving them. Because when you get married, that's all that's going to drive them. So your goal is to discern whether or not the person loves God more than they love themselves, and whether or not the heart is for God. That's what you're trying to look for. Because at the end of the day, it is only God that can convict them to love you the way you should be loved. Now, listen, this is important, because remember, your goal in marriage is to run to the back of the line. Your goal in marriage is to outserve the person you get married to. So if you marry somebody who don't like to serve, then that's your problem. You made an unwise decision. You were just driven by your flesh and made a decision, but you know the person don't love to serve, so you're going to serve them for the rest of their lives, and you cannot complain that they don't want to serve you. Now you need to be Jesus and do what Jesus did for you, which is to serve them even when you turned your back on him and run in the opposite direction. It's called, I'm going to talk about this weekend, it's called a gospel-centered marriage. You know what a gospel-centered marriage is? A marriage that's driven by the gospel. What is the gospel? You wanted to have nothing to do with Jesus. He wanted to have a relationship with you. And when you kept running away from him, he kept running after you, so much so that he died for you so that he could have a relationship with you. But even when he died and you still got saved, you still don't want him sometimes, and he still comes after you. That's a gospel-centered marriage. If you marry somebody who don't want that, or who doesn't have that disposition, who does not want to model the gospel-centered marriage, that's your fault. You decided that you could handle anything as long as you have a baby. So then you wanted to run in that direction. Actually, most of you couldn't even articulate the gospel, which is why you don't even know what a gospel-centered marriage is, which is why you don't know that marriage is all about giving, not what you can get, but what you can give, because that's what Jesus did for you. He didn't worry about what you could give to him. He worried about what he died to give to you. What did he give to you? His righteousness. What did you give to him? Your sin. That's the model for what marriage is. It is where you're giving to your spouse everything you have, and you're not concerned about what's in it for you. The reason you're so concerned about what's in it for you is because your culture has dominated your thinking. So you think you deserve everything that should be to you because you have made yourself a God. That is antithetical to the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is why marriages don't work.